Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mana Burn. This is Steve, and today we're going to be doing a EDH deck tech on Regna the Redeemer and Krav the Unredeemed. It's going to be a lot of token, gain life, synergies type deck. So make sure you watch the whole video, get an idea of exactly what we've got. The full deck list will be in the description, so check that out. While you're down there in the description, clicking on the link to check out the deck, make sure you check out the Patreon and the Discord. In the Patreon, you get tons of discounts on the website, themanaburn.com. So make sure you check out themanaburn.com for all your cards and things like that. Uploading cards every day. So we're getting that up and running, as well as check out the Discord, where we're going to have daily EDH games, a lot of EDH deck tech talk, and just general conversations about cards overall and anything MTG related. So without further ado, let's jump into the deck tech here. And we start off with Regna the Redeemer, which is 5 colorless and a white for a 4/4 flyer. And at the beginning of each end step, if your team gain life this turn, create 2 1/1 white warrior creature tokens. And it partners with Krav. Krav is 4 colorless and a black for a 3/3. That says for 1 black, you could sacrifice X creatures. Target player draws X cards and gains X life. Put X +1/+1 counters on Krav, the Unredeemed. So it's an awesome combination for the 2 cards. Something that we could definitely get set up and running. Get an engine set up and running for pretty quickly. So let's take a look at what we've got here. And we'll go through the win cons. And we've got Sanguine Bond. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. That's going to be one of the main enchantments to have on the battlefield in order to win the game. Now you have Felidar Sovereign. It's a 4/6 Vigilance lifelink. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. Very simple, straightforward card. Commander probably should be banned, but you know, at the end of the day, it's there, so it's a great card. Next is going to be Aetherflux Reservoir. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast. Pay 50 life, and Aetherflux Reservoir deals 50 damage to target creature or player. So another way to win with that. And then Cliffhaven Vampire. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses that much life. So basically with Sanguine Bond. So again, let's talk about Cliffhaven real quick. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. So, and when you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So basically, it's a way to double up the damage. We don't have Exquisite Blood in here, mainly because of the pricing. We're trying to keep this deck at $250 or less, and you don't want one card being, you know, $40, $50. So couldn't fit that in. But so basically, with Cliffhaven and Sanguine Bond, you're doing double the damage every time you gain life. So it's a great little combination there. Next, we're going to talk about the mana ramp. We have Knight of the White Orchid, which is 2 mana for a 2/2 first strike. And when it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands, search your library for planes, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. The nice part about this, again, it's a 2/2 first strike for 2 mana, but also you go get a planes and it's put right onto the battlefield untapped. So that's a great little benefit. And then so I took out like Soul Ring and stuff like that. Those are just common cards you should have in every deck. Every commander deck. Wayfarers Bobble is 1 colorless. To bring out 2 colorless to tap and sack Wayfarers Bobble and search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield, tap, shuffle your library. So, good way to just ramp into some more mana. Burnished Heart is another good way. So it's 3 for a 2/2, and you can pay 3 and sack it and search your library for 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield, tap, shuffle your library. So if you're having too much of one, you go get the other, obviously. And then Sword of Animist. 2 colorless to bring out, 2 to equip. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. And whenever equipped creature attacks, you search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped. The nice part about this is even if the creature attacks and dies, the equipment falls off, so you can still use it, 1. But 2, it's an attack trigger, so it doesn't have to actually deal any damage for you to get the benefits of it. So our non-basic lands that we have in the deck are going to be Shambling Vent. Enters tapped, but you can tap it for white or black. And for one white and a black, it becomes a 2/3 creature with lifelink until the end of turn and still a land. The big thing is it's going to get lifelink, so it's going to help you a lot with the gain life aspect of the deck build. Reliquary Tower, no max hand size. Vault of the Archangel. This is one of the better lands in here. It's not worth a lot, and I know it's a lot to activate, but you can add colorless. Or for 2 white and a black, creatures you control gain Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of turn. If Lifelink doesn't scare anybody, Death Touch definitely will. So it's a great card to have in here. And then we have Mistvale Plains. Enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap a white and tap Mistvale Plains to put a card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. Activate this if you control 2 or white permanents or more. So another good card to help you with the utility. In the non-basic land stuff, get what you need going. Next, we're going to go through some utility cards. One of the cards that I really like is Blasting Station. You can tap it, sack a creature, and deals 1 damage to target creature or player. And whenever a creature comes into play, you can untap it. So if you have the trigger set up right, you can sack a creature, and when you sack a creature, another creature comes onto the battlefield. So basically, when a creature dies, another one comes on. You can basically deal infinite damage that way. If you have something producing tokens every time a token dies, which we have here a little bit later on. For some reason, it doesn't want to change. There we go. Anointed Procession. So if you sack a creature, or if an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many tokens instead. So with Anointed Procession, if you're able to create 1, you create 2. So if you're sacking 1, you're creating, and you create 1, you're actually creating 2. So you could just keep going and going and going to get tons and tons of creatures on the battlefield. Oketra's Monument. White spells cost 1 less. And whenever you cast a creature spell, you create a 1/1 warrior token with Vigilance. So again, we do care about the tokens, and we care about the lessening the cost of mana, obviously. Sun Titan is a 6/6 with Vigilance, and whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you can return a permanent from your graveyard with mana cost 3 or less. So another great card. Dawn of Hope. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 2, and if you do, draw a card. So this is actually going to help you with card draw and with life gain, because for 4 mana, you could create a 1/1 soldier with lifelink, a soldier token. Divine Visitation. If 1 or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 angel tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. So just a great card to have in here. Instead of creating that 1/1 white human soldier token, or zombie or whatever it is, you're going to create 4/4 angels. Bastion of Remembrance. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token, and whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. So if you could sack your creatures, you're going to be able to do a ton of damage with Bastion of Remembrance as well. And then Authority of the Consuls. For 1 white, creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. And whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain 1 life. Now remember, with all these other triggers you have, you gain a life, they lose a life. And you can go back and forth with that a lot. Dictator Erebos. When a creature you control dies, each opponent sacks a creature. I don't have Grave Pact put in here, which is essentially the same as Dictate, because again, for cost reasons. Exsanguinate. Each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Just a great card. And then Ashnod's Altar is here to sack another sack outlet and also mana ramp. And then Altar of Dementia. You can sack your creatures and mill your opponents. So you sack a creature and target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of their library into their graveyard. And then Whip of Erebos, another lifelink card. So creatures you control have lifelink, and then for 2 colorless black, you can tap it and return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste and gets exiled at the beginning of the next end step. If it would leave the battlefield, you exile instead of putting it anywhere else. And you can only activate this ability as a sorcery, but still another great card. Back to Blasting Station. So let's look at a few of our tutors that we have here. So first is going to be Plea for Guidance. 5 and a white. Search your library for 2 enchantment cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle your library. You're going to go looking for stuff like Divine Visitation or Bastion Remembrance or Dictated Erebos. Whatever's basically going to help you win the game is what you're going to be looking for when you use this tutor. The Plea for Guidance. Next, Diabolic Tutor. I think these are the only 2 tutors in the deck, actually. But Diabolic Tutor, same as Demonic Tutor, except for this is 4 mana, search your library for a card, put it in your hand, shuffle your library. Oh, no. Then we have Rune Scarred Demon. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put it in your hand, shuffle your library. And it's a flying 6/6. And then Bolas' Citadel. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, and you may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost, rather than paying its mana cost. And then you can tap it, sack 10 permanents, and each opponent loses 10 life. So this is a good thing if somebody has hexproof or something like that. That's a good way to get around it, is by using Bolas' Citadel. So another great card in the to help you tutor through your deck and draw through your deck. Some other card draw cards we have is Vampiric Rites. Tap 2, sack a creature, gain 1 life, and draw a card. Skull Clamp. This is to get your tokens. You equip it to any one of your tokens, get +1/-1. Whenever the equipped creature dies, draw 2 cards. So for 1 mana, you're drawing 2 cards. Mentor of the Meek. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield with power 2 or less, you may pay 1 colorless, and if you do, draw a card. Priest of the Forgotten Gods. You can sack 2 creatures, and any number of target players each lose 2 life and sack a creature as well. And you add 2 black mana and draw a card. Great card. Great card to help you with your card draw throughout the deck. As far as the protection goes, Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots, you're going to want to have those in most EDH decks, so I didn't put that in here. Next, we have Sunscorched Regent, which is going to be just a big scary creature here towards the end of the game. It's a flying 4/3 for 5. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on it and gain a life. So it's a great card. There are other cards like Archangel of Ties or of Thune that I wanted to put, but just couldn't. Zulaport Cutthroat. Whenever this or another creature dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Teysa Orzhov Scion. You sacrifice 3 white creatures, and you can remove target creature from the game. So exile a creature. Whenever another black creature you control is put in the graveyard, you create a 1/1 white spirit token with flying and put it on the battlefield. Crested Sunmare. Other horses you control have indestructible. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, create a 5/5 white horse with creature token. The great part about this is at the beginning of each end step. So if you gain a life during somebody else's turn, at their end step, you're getting a 5/5 horse creature token. Or if you have Divine Visitation out, you're getting a 4/4 Flying Angel. Next, a staple in any gain life deck, Serra Ascendant. 1 mana, 1/1 lifelink. As long as you have 30 or more life, it becomes a 6/6 with flying and lifelink. Such a good card. Now you have Cabal, Console of Allocation. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, that player loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. Soul Warden. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain a life. Blood Artist is another Zulaport Cutthroat type card. Whenever it or another creature dies, target player loses a life and you gain a life. And then we have Endrick. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put X 1/1 black Thrall creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. When you control 7 or more Thralls, sacrifice Endrick. The nice part about this is going to help you create Thralls, and then you sack them before you get to 7. You get to 6, sack a few, go down, create more. Just keep doing that over and over again so that he doesn't die. Suture Priest. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may gain 1 life. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you can have them lose a life. And then Soul's Attendant. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain a life. And then Gary. When Gary enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. So another awesome card in this deck. And then God Eternal Oketra. It's a double strike. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 zombie with vigilance. And if If she dies, she gets put third. You may put it into its owner's library third from the top. So, not a bad little card. Then we've got Cruel Celebrant. Whenever this or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain 1. Now we have Bishop of Rebirth, which is 3/4 with Vigilance. Whenever it attacks, you may return a return target creature card with converted cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that's going to help, and also with Sun Titan. Now we have Vona, Butcher of Magan, 4/4 Vigilance lifelink. Tap, pay 7 life, destroy target non-land permanent. Awesome card. And then we go back to the beginning. Now we've got a little bit of removal here. We've got our Return to Dust, which is exile target artifact or enchantment. If you did this during your turn, you may exile up to 1 other target artifact or enchantment. Utter End, 4 mana, exile non-land permanent. Cleansing Nova, destroy all creatures or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Despark, exile a permanent with CMC 4 or greater, which is going to be most commanders. Merciless Eviction, you get to pick one. You get to exile all artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or planeswalkers. And then Fumigate is a great one. Destroy all creatures. You gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares do the same thing. Swords to Plowshares, exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Path to Exile is another 1 white, exile target creature, and they get to look for a land. Anguish of Unmaking, exile a non-land permanent, you lose 3 life. So a lot of good removal in here. Oops, sorry. There's actually no counter spells. And then we have our Planeswalkers, and for some reason this did not come out properly. We have Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, which is +1. Put a 1/1 black vampire creature token with lifelink on the battlefield. -2, you get an emblem. Your creatures get +1/+0. And -6, destroy up to 3 target creatures and or other planeswalkers, and return each card put into a graveyard this way on the battlefield under your control. Okay, sorry about that, guys. And there's one more, Elspeth Sun's Champion. Put 3 soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield for +1. -3, destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater. And then -7, creatures you control get +2/+2 and have flying. So that's the deck tech here for Regna and Krav. It's a great card. So again, you want to have Regna out to create the tokens. You want to be able to sack any and all of your creatures to Krav. There's about 10 cards in here that create tokens. There's about 15 that help you gain life. And at the end of the day, you should be able to make Krav huge, or you'll be able to win with Sanguine Bond, with a Sanguine Bond combo. So Sanguine Bond and Felidar Sovereign, Aetherflux Reservoir, Cliffhaven Vampire. Those all are going to be great ways for you to be able to close out each of your games. Because if you gain life multiple times, like it says, each opponent loses a life. So the good thing about Cliffhaven is it doesn't target anybody. It just says each opponent. So that's the deck. The only thing I do agree with is that there could be a little bit more token generation. But for the most part, like I said, there's about 8 to 10 cards. Check out the link in the description below, and please leave some comments if there's any comments with regards to how we can make the deck better. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the videos, and I appreciate everybody watching. Again, if you're interested in the deck, you can check it out on Architect, or you can message me in the Discord, or you could purchase it on the website at themanaburn.com. So I'll see you next time, guys.